Welcome back in, everybody. We got another AMA coming at you, and as you can see, I am joined by JB Jordan Backes. Make sure you're following this man on Twitter at Jordan Backes33. What's going on, JB? Glad to have you in here for an AMA.
Yeah, I am excited to be here to follow up Brandon from last week, but obviously duty calls for the new dad over there, Adam. So
Yes.
stepping in happily for him.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, JB is here. Not only because I like JB and we like having him on, but the reason it ain't a three-way, it's just me and him. Adam's having a baby. Well, I guess I shouldn't say he's having a baby. His wife's
Yeah.
having the baby. He's sitting there getting his hands squeezed and yelled at and probably shit thrown at him. And hopefully not losing brownie points with the wife. She's gonna make
As he's responding to trade questions on the Discord, but
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, you might want to take care of your wife.
Yeah.
Trade questions at him, but yeah, he's a man of the people. He might
Gotta
be
make
dead
the
after
money,
this.
man.
So yeah, Adam is gonna be out for this week. You know, we're gonna what we call it, paternity leave. Yeah, paternity leave.
Let's go with that.
As one of the co-founding members of the shit show, I'll grant him paternity leave. So he's out. JB's in though. We're glad to have him. I'm excited for it. How's everybody doing tonight? Huh? Got a lot of people in the chat already. Holy shit, man! Got Ty's in here. Mellow. JB's even posting.
My boy Barry.
Dynasty Barry. Austin, what's going on? Yeah, as Ty said, numbers.
Numbers. That's about all I'm good for. I can count to like 6 and that's it. Just numbers.
All right. Yeah, man. Big congrats to Adam. I'm happy for him. I'm excited. It's his first one, so he's in for a rude awakening. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a big life change. I mean, my little girl just turned 2, a couple weeks ago, and it's been a whole new world, for lack of a better term, and the cliche as it is. But it's been a blessing. But my whole life has been changed, and I love it. So,
Josh Adam would appreciate that. He does need to get his priorities straight. Rule 76: no excuses. Play like a champ.
Oh my gosh,
he does continue to cash out. Yeah. And Barry, yeah, that's all you, buddy. All right. JB, man. What I mean. All right, let's just kick it off. We got some most relevant news in the Dynasty space. I don't know how relevant it is, but your thoughts there. Darrell Williams to Arizona. Is Keontae Ingram dead for you? Are you still in on Keontae Ingram? Let's kick it off. We ain't got any questions yet, so we'll start with fucking Keontae Ingram and Darrell Williams.
Yeah, this is how we're gonna start the show on May 24th. This is awesome.
Peak season for this kind of shit, ain't it?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean Darrell Williams, cool, nice backup, whatever. Doesn't change how I feel about Keontae. I mean, he's still gonna be the pass catching guy if they need somebody to do that besides Connor. But no, I mean Darrell Williams doesn't do anything for me, nor does it change my mind about anybody on that team. I mean, maybe Eno Benjamin is dead-er, but that's it.
If he wasn't already dead, now he's definitely dead.
Exactly.
He's been buried. Which is kind of, I don't know, as an Iowa fan, I don't know how much people are really into college football, especially from the Iowa perspective. But there was a point in time where he was committed to the University of Iowa. Eno was. So I was excited to get him as a Hawkeye, and then, Kirk Ferentz did his Kirk Ferentz things, the fucking high school kids. Eno ended up taking a visit to another college after he committed to Iowa. Just a, college kid, man. You get visits.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you took a visit to Arizona State, I think you'd leave too. No offense to Iowa, but
I think he just wanted to visit Arizona State, right? They're gonna wine and dine you, and throw the girls at you and do all that, try to convince you to come. And Kirk Ferentz has
go to a couple pool parties, exactly.
Once you commit, you're not allowed to take visits anywhere else. I'm like, damn it. So as soon as that happened, it was like, well, he's gone. So yeah, I've always kind of been an Eno Benjamin fan, but as far as NFL and fantasy goes, I think it's over. Rest in peace. It's good. All right, finally got a question. Austin's got kick off the questions. Is Mike Evans a buy right now for contenders? Godwin expected to miss the start of the season and Gage is the current number 2. Mike Evans is a huge value if you're a contender right now. Massive value. I'm gonna pull up his ADP, but it's not high. And What do you think, JB? Like, if you're in a super flex league, you send your first for Mike Evans, easy. 23 first, or are you still weary about it?
I mean, obviously it depends where you think it's going to be. If you're contending and you need a receiver, absolutely. I mean, at the end of we haven't done any Devy drafts or 23 mocks yet, but end of the first round, I mean, you're probably going to end up missing on Boutte, JSN, probably now Addison with the huge USC hype and the year he'll have there. So you're looking at that kind of second tier, I mean, third tier if you're really putting Addison a tier below the top two, but that's still like Quentin Johnston. I can't even think of names off the top of my head, but long story short, yes. Yeah, I will gladly send a late 23 first for Mike Evans right now. I mean, he still has Tom Brady, still going to have a stupid year. I'm pulling up our favorite keep trade cut rankings, and he is wide receiver 27.
Yeah, last month's ADP for Adeko has him at 26, and for the last week, he's actually moved up to wide receiver 20, one spot ahead of Chris Godwin. They're literally adjacent in the ranks. So, I mean, you're really looking at like just a generic 23 first. And if you think it's going to be late, you're a contender. Hell yeah, I'd go buy Mike Evans for that pretty easily. I don't think I would think twice about it if I needed another receiver. At worst, I mean, he's your wide receiver 2. If you got a really good team, I mean, having Mike Evans as your wide receiver 3 or even a flex option, damn, that's really appealing. So, especially with
actually, I just pulled up on the Dynasty GM some trades that happened for Mike Evans in super flex leagues. So this first one is Mike Evans for, it doesn't say the pick number, but a 22 second. I mean, I'm taking Evans easily there.
Good God.
Another one, Jalen Guyton, 22 second, 22 first for Evans. I mean, I'm assuming that first is late because I don't think you're going to be trading London or any of the top 4 receivers probably for Mike Evans. But, I mean, that's not a bad one, especially if it's a late one. So that's like a Sky Moore, Christian Watson, and let's just say a mid-second. So
I would trade any of the wide receivers not named London, Burks, or Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Any of them. Yeah. If it's not one of the Kennys, Breece Hall, or those 3 receivers, I'll send the pick away. J-Mo, Sky Moore, Dotson, Pickens, Christian Watson, James Cook, whoever, I would send that away for Mike Evans easily. I don't think I'd think too much about it.
There's some other ones on here. Mike Evans in 23 second for a 23 first. And then Dallas Goedert and Hunter Renfrow for Evans. And the last one here, Mike Evans and Joe Mixon for 223 firsts.
Jeez.
So I feel like he's really cheap right now. So yes, I would definitely see what the Evans manager has and what direction they're going and try to help him out into that direction and get yourself a pretty decent receiver for at least this year. I mean, even if Brady plays another year, that could turn into 2 years of a lot of production there.
For sure. All right, next question we got from Ty. What are your point per game thresholds for RB1 versus 2, wide receiver 1 versus wide receiver 2, and how does that fluctuate year to year? All right, this is a good one for you. You're the big numbers guy. My answer is the fat bearded guy, stupid answer. So let's get an intelligent one first, JP. You have thresholds in your mind for RB1s and RB2s?
Let's just say not right now. Something that you brought up a while ago was, I forgot who did the podcast, but you sparked an idea in my mind of looking at the whole wide receivers don't matter thing. And I know that's been your mantra ever since we've met. It was your name in the Discord for forever.
Along with 37 other ones. But yes.
Exactly. That was your one though. Let's be honest.
Yes, it's a good one.
Between that or McNutted. But Ty, I know you're in the Discord and all that for DD, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but this exact topic here is something I will be talking about in the future. Let's just say that.
All right.
This will be covered in pretty detailed depth in the near future.
Let's just say for me, I don't really have like point per game thresholds. It's more de facto tiers. So running backs in general, for me, Dynasty, I'm looking at trying to get about the top 15-ish. And after that, I slowly lose interest, right?
You talking receivers?
No, just for running backs. I like the top 15 guys. Any of those guys that really have an opportunity to produce as RB1s and have some sort of longevity factor to them. Now, running back is inherently a shorter position. We can agree on that. But I'm talking like the youthful guys, the Gibsons, the Cam Akers, the J.K. Dobbins, like those guys I'm into. You can also throw some of the older guys in there for my contenders that I'd be interested in. That kind of just makes up the top 15 for me. Once you start getting down into the Montgomery, the Jacobs range, I really start to lose interest. And then like once we're down to like Zeke and Aaron Jones and those kind of guys, I'm really just in it if I'm trying to buy a piece on a contender, but I really don't have any other interest outside of that. Wide receivers, I will say this. For me, outside of maybe a handful of guys that I can acknowledge, the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Those guys I'm actively trying to down tier because they can't get any higher. Their value is going to be about the same for the next few years. I will down tier to the next guys and pick up a future asset. But outside of that, the rest of the guys, there's guys I like, but I'm talking down to like wide receiver 50 in dynasty ranks in general. Those are all guys I have some interest in, and I'm happy with them on my team in some capacity. Now, obviously, I wouldn't want my starting wide receivers to be wide receiver 48, 49, and 50. But if I can get a few just sprinkled in there, maybe a 14, a 20, and a 36, I'm happy. Because I really think if you look at points per game, when you dive into this and you do something, work on this, you're going to see that spread from pretty much, I'm going to guess like wide receiver 15, maybe down to like 36.
I was even going to say like wide receiver 10, to be honest. I feel like the tier really flattens out quickly, and then it really plateaus to, like you said, 25, 30. And that's just my initial hypothesis of all that. And I feel like we've seen it. Yes, the top guys, they put up stupid numbers, but you kind of fall off pretty quickly. And those are the guys that help you win leagues are the Cooper Kupps, the Devontae Adams type guys who have the stupid seasons.
For sure.
But then even when you get to like wide receiver 7, they might average, let's just say normal PPR, like 18 points a game. And then when you get down to wide receiver 36, it could be like 11 points a game. So that's 7 points per game. Yes, that seems like a lot. It is. But at the same time, that's 7 points between, what did I say, 8 and 36. So that's almost 30 receivers that falls between.
I will say that a lot of this got formed from a podcast I heard with Rich Rebar.
Okay.
Probably 2 years ago, I would say. So shout out to him. He did a study where he was looking at points per game and the differences for each position. And if I remember correct, I don't want to butcher it, so don't take this as gospel, but it was something like wide receiver 2s were scoring at 80% the clip that wide receiver 1s were, and wide receiver 3s were scoring at 75% of what wide receiver 2s did. Now, if you looked at the running back position, RB2s only scored like 60-some%, maybe 66. We'll just call it 66% of what RB1s did. And RB3s were just absolutely brutal. Like you're talking like 40% of what the previous ones did. So for me, you couple that with positional scarcity, and the fall off is so massive in between the tiers. That's why I've always kind of been like, man, I need those running backs because they give me a bigger advantage over the guy I'm playing who may not have those, where I can just kind of just find wide receivers anywhere.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think a lot of that, at least for the running backs, contributes to injuries because, I mean, like you said, the RB3s are only 65%, but those are the guys that probably only start 4 or 5 games a year when the main guy gets hurt, and then they're obviously spelling guys in. So as long as they're consistent, let's just say, they're going to be in that range. But, I mean, the RB2s are mostly healthy, and then obviously the running back 1s are the guys that stay healthiest the longest, especially if you're looking at just an overall season total.
Yeah. All right. Austin. Is it just me, or is there no clear overall wide receiver 3 in Dynasty? Jeff and Chase so far ahead of everyone else. Who do you predict is valued as wide receiver 3 by the end of the year? Hot takes only. Yeah, man, wide receiver 3 is going to be a tough one. I would say before the NFL draft, we had a pretty solid. I'm not going to say it. Before the Russell Wilson trade, let's go back to that. Before the Russell Wilson trade, I would say if your top 5 included some form of Chase and Jefferson, 1 and 2, however you wanted to split, but A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and CeeDee Lamb, that was a lot of people's top 5s pretty solidly. And now it's all kind of been jumbled, right? The Rush trade, what happened with DK. CeeDee Lamb kind of just seems like the wide receiver 3 in Dynasty kind of by default, doesn't he? Or do you disagree? Do you got somebody else there still?
No, I'm a biased Cowboys fan. So, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's, I think will be. I know you're saying hot takes only, but realistically, he's going to be the wide receiver 3. I mean, he's going off the board. I want to say around, I think somebody said wide receiver 8 in redraft leagues right now. And that was about the same point he was going last year. And last year there was some uncertainty in regards to who's going to be the alpha there, him or Cooper. And then you had Michael Gallup there as well. So there were more guys to get the ball. Yes, Dalton Schultz emerged, and he will probably be the number 2 target, at least for the beginning of the year, with Gallup probably out. But Lamb's going to get force-fed like 150, 160 targets this year. If he doesn't put up stupid numbers in that offense, I think we can all close the door on CeeDee Lamb. I mean, this is his year to really break out.
So as of right now, by ADP standards, the top 5 are the exact same from last month to this last week. So you're looking at Chase and Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb comes in at 3. And for some reason, I think it's too much like recency bias, or I don't know what it is. No, it's nothing against the player, but Cooper Kupp's right now coming off the board as Dynasty wide receiver 4.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna get a couple more good years out of him. It's just, I mean, I don't have ages in front of me, but I want to say he's 28, 29. CeeDee 29. So CeeDee's 23. Jamar Chase is going to be 22. Jefferson's 23. So at worst, you're getting 6 extra years out of those guys. Like, I don't know. I'm all about buying years in Dynasty, and I will take 6 years with ease over Cooper Kupp. I mean, I know he has injury history, but I'd take A.J. Brown over Cooper Kupp. I still really like Jalen Waddle, even though Tyreek's there. I still like Tyreek. I think Devontae Adams is going to give us a couple good seasons with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I mean, Cooper Kupp, yes, he's going to give you the years, and Adams is right there with age, but there's a lot of young guys who are going to give you extra years on top of what they're already doing. And like we just talked about, if Cooper Kupp doesn't put up stupid numbers again, how close are those guys and him this year? 1-2 points per game difference?
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm easily taking 6 years.
Understandable. So for those of you listening for JB, let me know what you think about this, but our ranks that Adam and I put together, I really like to look at it in tier aspects, right? Like my tier cutoffs. So obviously the first tier, Jefferson, Chase, I don't give a shit who you put at 1, who you put at 2. They're both dope. But tier 2 is just made up of 3 guys. And I'm still going to have A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and CeeDee Lamb in that tier. I would probably lean towards CeeDee Lamb or A.J. Brown over DK, but just because of age and longevity and what we've seen from them already, like I feel like those should be your next 3 guys. But the tier after that, I guess, kind of makes a lot of sense. So it's going to be a tier of T. Higgins, Debo, Diggs, Devontae Adams, and Cooper Kupp. And it's kind of just T. Higgins capped with Chase being there a little bit. Debo, a little bit of the uncertainty of it being like a 1-year thing. Does he still get the rushing, the touchdowns, that kind of thing? But when we've seen him healthy, he has produced really good numbers. And then it's the older guys, the Diggs, the Adams, the Kupp. Those are the kind of guys that are going to keep producing for another couple of years. We hope or believe, I think, would be realistically that would happen. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, does that logically make sense, or am I missing a big point there with still keeping A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf above some of the older guys?
Oh, no, I think Our top 5 and 6 are the same. I don't have rankings yet. I'm in the process of getting those, but I think our top 6 are pretty much in line. Why do you hate DJ Moore?
I don't hate DJ Moore. I hate the fact that DJ Moore never gets a quarterback. Never.
Yeah, me too.
And let's be honest, man. Like, he hasn't scored touchdowns. Even with shitty quarterback play, like, you're just hoping he gets some more like red zone work, scores. Maybe it's bad luck. He's a great talent, but at like one point, do we stop projecting and just be honest with what he is? He's not a bad guy. He's still in my top 12. Like, he's still a wide receiver 1 in Dynasty for me. It's just, I mean, what argument do I have to put him over any of those other guys?
I
From
actually
a
have
production standpoint and situation.
So I actually have a pretty decent one. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. 17. So in 2019, he contributed to, let's just say, 25% of their passing touchdowns. In 2020, he literally contributed to 25%. Oh, that's interceptions. Oh, same number of touchdowns. So yeah, 25% of their touchdowns in 2020. And then this past year, he had, what number is that? 30? About 30% of their passing touchdowns. So his floor, let's just say, is 25% of their passing touchdowns.
So if they ever have a 40 touchdown season, he's going to score 10 touchdowns. That's wow.
Yes, that is what the numbers say.
They just don't throw the damn ball in the end zone. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like I said, 2019, they had 17 passing touchdowns. 2020, they had 16 passing touchdowns. And then this last year, they only had 14. So, yes, the raw number is very small, especially for a receiver of his caliber. Like, you want 8 touchdowns would be great. But at the same time, his share of their passing touchdowns is monstrous. And if, God forbid, they actually get a quarterback and somebody who can lead drives, get into the red zone even more, I mean, yes, it's been 4 years and it's been disappointing, but I'm still DJ Moore all the way, man. I think he would honestly be my wide receiver 7 in Dynasty right now.
Okay. Well, yeah. I was gonna ask you who you rather have between DJ Moore and Deontay Johnson, but
yeah, DJ.
Okay, pretty clear.
DJ Moore, that is, not Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, you just say DJ, you cover them both. That's fine.
Exactly. No one will know.
So if you're in just like the generic startup, you haven't really picked a direction yet, and you're on the clock, and it's the choice between DJ Moore or like Cooper Kupp. Are you going with DJ Moore?
Yeah, I would. I mean, at that point, especially if I don't have a direction, I'm going to always lean to the age factor. Yeah, I mean, yes, he is going to be. Oh, he already turned 25. So DJ's only 25. That's 4 years on Kupp. And I mean, even with the no quarterbacks, he's put up 1,100, almost 1,200 yards the past 3 years. Like, we already covered the touchdowns, so they are what they are. That's just a product of the offense. But I mean, like I said, I love the guy. I wish you'd have a better quarterback, and here's to hoping Matt Corral turns out to something,
or just coaching staff or whatever the hell they're doing that they're not throwing the damn football in the end zone. Like, even we've seen receivers with bad quarterbacks before, but they can still produce with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, at least
they're a bad team,
throwing the ball. Yeah,
they're a bad team, but they're not throwing the ball in the end zone. I don't understand. Like, you should have to throw the ball in the end zone. You're horrible. You're trailing all the time.
Nah, give it to Chuba Hubbard to run it in, right?
Yeah, why not? Or you remember when like Alex Armo was there? Let's give it to a fullback because reasons.
Because why not? Yeah.
Ty says it does feel like a blind spot in his roster construction. What point per game threshold do I need my core to hit and know that I'm ready to push the chips in, etc.? Looking forward to this project. I'd be interested to see what the numbers tell you. Like, if you can get something from the data on that, where like, if your running backs 2 isn't scoring 14, 15 points per game, you're just better off finding a replacement level type talent. You know what I mean? What that actual cutoff is.
Yeah, and I think part of mine might be focused more on, it'll essentially be redraft of the draft for that. It'll be come out around that time so people can strategize for that. But I don't know. I mean, it's all going to matter on your league as well. I mean, your roster, you might be starting 2 running backs, 2 receivers. You might be starting 4 receivers and 6 flexes. I don't know. But, I mean, at least I'll be able to give you from somewhat of a standard roster construction something to look for when you're drafting at least. And like I said, it'll be mostly redraft focused, but you can obviously also apply it to Dynasty.
I think for me, Ty, like what I usually like to do is we're pretty good at looking and being objective about my own team, whether or not it's good or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes it sucks to be like, man, this thing just really doesn't have the horses. Like, this isn't it. And for Adam and I, what we usually do then, if we're not in, then we're out. Like, I'm going to sell off the old pieces. I'm going to keep like the core wide receivers, the young assets, but the old guys are gone before they just absolutely tank in value. And I'm going to try to accumulate more value, however the hell I want to do, draft picks or more young players. But for like people who struggle to look at their team objectively, I don't agree with a lot of the ranks, but it'll be a nice starting point. Is the Dynasty Nerds tool has always been really good at go look at the contender ranks for this year and see where you rank relative to your league. Now, if there's a tier of 5 people that are all really close, that's going to be a subjective call for you on like how comfortable you feel about pushing in or making moves, or you want to play the variance that naturally is built into fantasy football, go ahead. But generally, I would say if I were to look at that and I'm not one of the top 2 or 3 teams, then I'm like, it's not worth it for me. Like, I'm better off just to keep accumulating assets and value. But if I'm one of those 3, I'm looking at my team going like, all right, what's my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Do I have an ability to bolster my weaknesses? And if I'm already stacked across the board, I'm looking at things like if I take out 2 or 3 of my top players because of injury, suspension, whatever, how's it look when I try to backfill that? Like, do I have the bench depth to be like, if I lose my starting quarterback in Superflex, am I starting somebody like a Jared Goff now in my Superflex spot every week? Or do I have like a reasonable third quarterback? And if I don't have a reasonable third quarterback, what do I have on my team in draft picks, other young players that I could go acquire one in season if I needed to? So that's always the things that are playing in my mind if I'm trying to figure out whether I want to push in, if I'm a contender. Like, do I actually have the horses to do it? And then worst case scenario, if this and this and this happen, how's it still look? Like, is it still a competitive roster or is this an absolute shit show? All right. What are some of the most important things to focus on in JB's weekly NCAA reports? Things, context to keep in mind when digesting the content. Those were dope all year. Those were dope, and I'm glad you did a little recaps on there, JB. In your mind, what are some of the things that you like to look for when you're doing the weekly recaps?
So I'm actually going to share the screen because a lot of you probably have no idea what this is, and hopefully Ray doesn't fire me for this, but let me know when you can see framing, if you can. Right? Exactly. All right. It says it's sharing. Oh, nope. Hold on 1 second, guys.
Yeah, you're good, man. Worst case scenario, I can pull it up and then he can fire me instead. You'll get a reprieve.
It's making me restart Chrome.
Oh,
that's not going to happen.
Oh,
okay. Anyway, so what I do for those of you that don't know what Ty is talking about, I will run through all of the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends, and essentially show how they're doing on the year.
Yeah.
But the metrics I put on there, I'm looking at quarterbacks right now, is QBR, adjusted yards per attempt, completion percentage, and rushing yard percentage. So for those, I mean, they're pretty straightforward. These are kind of the things I'm looking for, especially for a fantasy aspect of what they may contribute to at the next level. So these 4, obviously, you want QBR higher, all these higher. I mean, that's pretty much what you want, is all these high. I mean, you can have guys passing so, but if their rushing yard is high, like obviously they're going to put up numbers like Malik Willis. I don't have his numbers in front of me. Apologies, but I think I'm going to be going into a little more depth, as well as putting out kind of an instructional video of what to look at for this upcoming years when I put these out. I know have some plans to, let's just say, upgrade these a little bit, get some more info on there without making it too crazy, but there definitely will be some type of direction, or at least an introduction when I put out the first edition this year, and it'll help everyone in the DD Discord kind of understand and see what see the reasoning behind the statistics I pick. I still have to run my positional models for this year, and if new metrics come out or shouldn't say come out, but show significance at the next level, the NFL, I'll be adding these onto here. So long story short, everything that's on here are good indicators of success at the NFL level.
Yeah, I love the fact that when you came out with these, you made them idiot proof for guys like me. Okay.
So as long as you're not colorblind, right?
Yeah, if you're colorblind, you can't read reds, then I guess you're screwed. But yeah, it's so easy to go, and I just pulled up a random one, and I'm looking at overall running backs sorted by yards per team play, right? So you got yards per team play, receiving share, dominator rating on it. And then you look at a guy like Deuce Vaughn. Okay, so you got his height, his weight, how many years he's been in school. Right? Big thing, because that was something that we talked about, right? Like a Samare Toure, right?
Yep.
His numbers look great, but then you look and you're like, holy shit, this guy's been in college for...
He's been around a while.
He's been in college longer than my daughter's been alive.
And some of the things on here, I mean, it was insightful for me, just because, okay, these guys showed up, and I'm looking at the top 2022 tight ends sorted by yards per team pass attempt. Number 1, Greg Dulcich. Did anybody know him other than this year? Like, he kind of came out of nowhere, but at the same time, if you were paying attention to these, you had an idea of at least who he is, and okay, this guy's putting him numbers. What's up with him? I know for 2023 tight ends, Jaheim Bell was behind Michael Mayer like all year. So that kind of was something in my mind, like, okay, I need to look into this guy. So, I mean, at a minimum, it's kind of something to look at, and look at the names at least. If they're in the top 10 for the metric I'm sorting this by, they must be doing something right.
For sure. That's a big thing too. Like you were just mentioning, that you can just look at easily a snapshot. Like Dulcich would have stood out if you were actually paying attention to it. Like, man, okay, 2022 tight ends. Who are some darts that should be on my radar? Well, holy shit, Greg Dulcich has got a box that's deep red, like blood red. He's got a nice red box on the weighted dominator rating, and his dominator rating is, a light red. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's look at some of these other guys. I'm a big Jalen Weidermeyer fan. You look at Jalen Weidermeyer and you're like, holy shit, Greg Dulcich is killing this man and everything. So I love the fact that it's easy for me to look at and see. And Dulcich is an interesting one too, because another thing you have on recruiting stars. No stars. Right?
Yeah, when I first, the way I run this, it combines statistics with the recruiting profiles. And if somebody doesn't have any stars like him, they won't show up the first time because they completely get missed. So then in my second pass, I look and it's like, oh, this guy, why is he not showing up? I go to his 247 page, 0 stars. So kind of came out of nowhere. So like I said, it's really eye-opening for me going through the process. And at a minimum, it gives you guys names to look out for.
I'm just looking at that. Did Jake Ferguson really do 7 years in college, or is that a mistype?
Oh, I think you might have an older report, because mine only says 5 here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's not completely foolproof, because
little things like that.
Yeah, and Sky Moore didn't show up for the longest time on here because when he was recruited as a defensive back.
For sure.
And when I do all the filtering to start, I filter out defensive players. So he wasn't showing up on the 247 report with stars, and he just was eliminated from the whole thing. So I had to go back in and change that. So if you notice something in the year that doesn't look right, let me know, because there may be mistakes. I'm not 100% foolproof.
Yeah, I had to pull it up and make sure he wasn't literally 26 years old.
No, yeah.
No, he's only 23. Okay. Makes more sense. I was like, holy shit, I need to go drop Jake Ferguson on all my squads that I picked him up on. He was in college forever.
Yeah.
No. T-Rock, of course, he's in here. You're his idol.
I think that was when I was talking about my love for DJ Moore. So if that is coordinated at all, or correlated at all, I should say.
No, JB, those spreadsheets, I guess whatever you want to call them, NCAA reports, were really helpful this year. Just to give me a quick snapshot. Like we've had you on the shit show or Patreon show a few times, and I'm still learning analytics. You know, maybe to my detriment now that I figured out like what hit rate tables are.
Now you're just living and dying by them.
Yeah, like, hey, this hit rate tables thing is pretty cool. Take that, data nerds.
Yeah.
Oh,
but no, I mean, I got into it with the guy in one of my sleeper leagues about film versus analytics, and I mean, he brought up the Chargers going for it on fourth down from their own whatever, and it's like, yes, analytics aren't always going to be right. That's why, like, at the end of the day, they come down to percentages, like hit rates.
Yeah.
If you keep playing the percentages, you will win out in the long run. Obviously, if it's a greater than 50% chance that the outcome is what you want it to be. And yes, you're going to have failures in that. And I mean, film, there's no foolproof film guy out there. Everyone got people wrong. But I mean, that's just how my background. And I didn't play any high school football. I think last year I played, it was like 7th grade. And that was back when I was a left tackle and an outside linebacker, and I hated it. So I stuck to other sports, and I've always been good with math, and fantasy football is awesome. So combining the two, and that's just what I know. It's how I play.
I would say, and I don't have any evidence to back it up though, but when we're talking about film versus analytics, we've all know film guys that have been absolute dumpster fires in the NFL. And we all know some analytic darlings that have done absolutely nothing. I can't name too many that fit both categories, right? Like, man, his numbers are really good. And then watch him on the field, and you're like, wow, this guy's really good on the field too. That didn't really hit. Maybe Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
Maybe Jalen Reagor is the outlier.
He's easily. I mean, he broke out as a freshman. I don't think he increased his numbers every year, but that was more a product of the TCU lack of offense.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did everything great, athletically great. On film, he looked awesome, and just never fired. It happens. Happens.
All right. Well, it'd be interesting to get your perspective on this, because you're not Adam, so we might actually get a different one here.
Yeah.
Finally. All right. So Austin has asked, our boy Kenny Pickett is worth a pick what in 2023? Mid first, late first? Do you hold to see him win the starting job before trading him for one? All right, JB, I'll ask you, because I've done way too many podcasts on Kenny Pickett, but I will answer the question, but I'll let you tell the fine people what your opinion is on Kenny Pickett. If you have him right now, what would you trade him for?
To be quite honest, I would send him for any 23 first.
Any 23 first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just looking at 23 prospects here. You got Bryce Young, Bijan, Kayshon Boutte, Mayer, CJ Stroud, JSN, Gibbs. I mean, at worst, even if it's a late first, you might just end up re-rolling with a Will Levis, a Devin Leary, an Anthony Richardson. And I mean, as long as your rookie draft is after the NFL draft, you're going to have an idea of draft capital, landing spot, all that. And excuse me, I like Pickett, but I mean, the hand size is a legitimate thing. I mean, he's in a great spot. I think he was at Pitt for 5 years and really didn't do much until his last year. So, and I don't see him being a Joe Burrow. So don't get that in your head. I don't know. I mean, I think this 22 class is relatively weak in terms of, or relative to 2020, 21, 23, and 24. And I think he's just kind of the best of the bunch. And not that I don't like him, it's just I would rather a 23 pick and give me a shot at a CJ Stroud, a Bryce Young, a Bijan Robinson, a Gibbs. Like, the class is legit, and there's really no other way to put it, honestly.
I will say this, for me, being a Kenny Pickett fan, I would trade him away if you offered me something that I can reasonably say is going or has a good chance of being an early first. So it's got to be like mid to early for me. Like, I'm talking like, if I look at your team, I'm like, right now you're probably the middle of the pack, but you're like one injury away from being a dumpster fire. And that might be the 103 or the 102 or, heaven forbid, the 101. I would trade Kenny Pickett away, situation depending. Like, if I have Kenny Pickett on my team, he's probably not an integral part of what I'm doing if I'm a contender anyways, which I would be actively trying to move him anyways to get to something more stable to help me win. But just generically, I'd move him away. Late first in 2023, all that's carrying right now is just the first part. The only thing that's holding that value right now is the part that says 2023. The late first round, I know there may be some players in there, but you're going to talk about guys that will go in the NFL draft next year, and they're going to end up being a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th round startup. And Kenny Pickett is probably going to end up in that 5th, 6th, 7th range, like, realistically. And you get a full year of production. So if I have a late 23 first that I'm confident in and somebody's trying to get off Kenny Pickett, I'll send it away in a heartbeat and I won't think about it. And there's a lot of guys that fit that category. Ray and I were talking about it in the Discord with some of the Destination Devy patrons about it, where, hey, I'm a contender. What would you send your 23 first for? And I go, now's the perfect time to do it, right? You can get all kinds of contending pieces and you can just sell them on that 23 first, just 23 first. If it's going to be realistically you're a contender and it's going to be in that late part, I would much rather have a guy like Keenan Allen on my team. Keenan Allen's going to help me win this year. That 23 could just late first could just be whatever. It could be just a guy. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I do. And there's been studies, and I mean, Adiko does it very well, about the QBs at worst holding their value, normally going up in value. And like I said, he is in a very good situation.
Yeah.
It's just maybe I'm thinking of my own personal teams where I do have him, I don't need him, and I would rather take that gamble. And that might be it. I think a mid first is probably the right answer based on a universal approach to fantasy football.
Yeah. I could get on your side too, just a generic 23 first, even if I thought it might be mid to late, like in that range, as long as I knew it wasn't like guaranteed late. Just from the approach of, sometimes it's just nice to hoard all the picks in the draft class, or as many as possible, because fantasy is kind of fickle. I mean, what looks like a contender now sometimes does turn out where, like, man, you know, this guy got suspended, this guy broke his foot at the start of preseason, and his other player shit the bed. You know what I mean? And now he's just sitting there with Kenny Pickett as like his QB1, and nothing really, like, he's got to find some Taylor Heineke off the waiver wire and pray that he plays. You know what I mean? So we've seen that. And if you're just asset collecting, I understand it from that standpoint. But just generically, to answer the question, it pretty much has to be a mid to early for me, and then I'll talk about it. And then as far as like buying goes, like, I'd sniff around and see if anybody kind of has that approach and they want to let them go for what I think is going to be a late 23 first. Like, if I've got one from another contender and I'm still building my roster, I'll do it. So it's too much Kenny Pickett talk. That's too much Kenny Pickett.
I think you've exhausted that whole Kenny Pickett topic.
I'm running out of show names too. So
yeah, seriously.
All right. All right, another one. Can we talk about Deuce Vaughn, production versus size? There's no question he produces. I can just pull up your NCAA reports and see, holy shit, Deuce Vaughn produces.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the downside is he's fucking tiny. Like Darren Sproles tiny.
No, he's smaller than that.
Even smaller than Sproles?
So my I don't care about the height. That's whatever.
5'6".
But I'm trying to. I had the screen up, and now, of course, I can't find it.
Allegedly, he's 176 pounds.
Yeah, that's what they got him on TCU's site, obviously.
Allegedly, Sproles was 185.
Here we go. So, yeah, on Kansas State, they got him at 5'6", 176. And that equates to 5'6", 176, a BMI of 28.4, which is a lot higher than I actually thought.
Yeah.
So I am going to hit rate tables that you love based on BMI.
Yes. I love hit rate tables.
So at 28.4, there have been 9 drafted running backs between 28 and 28.5 since 2014. 2 of the 9 have been top 6. The same 2 were top 12, and the same 2 were top 24. So let's just say universally what is that? 2 of 9. Why is this all messed up? 2 of 9, that's what, 22% hit rate?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, he produces big time, and he can catch the ball. He can do everything. It's just the bigger thing for me is where is he's going to get drafted next year. Let me just see if they have any type of
draftable.
Yeah.
He kind of feels, he just initially feels like, if I just take a snapshot of the 23 class, kind of just feels like that guy who you start to shoot your shot on like the mid-second of your rookie drafts, where you're just like, like some of the wide receivers you like are gone. You know, there might be a round 3 or an early round 4 running back that you like, and then the rest is just like, Deuce Vaughn, he went at the late part of the 3rd, late part of day 2, like satellite back. Let me just shoot my shot just in case he's Austin Eckler or Darren Sproles.
Yeah, so there's really no concrete data. I think there's 2 mock drafts here that I can find. Mm-hmm. Sports Illustrated staff had him as the 81st overall player, but then another one has him undrafted. So really nothing to tell from there. But yeah, I mean, we're drafting 4th, 5th round guys in the mid-second this year. I think next year it's a stronger running back class. I think Vaughn is probably going to end up being a 3rd round pick, to be honest. And at that point, why not? I mean, especially for somebody that put up the numbers he did. I mean, the Big 12 is not known for its defense, but I mean, if you're doing that level of production at any conference, you're okay.
My fear is he kind of goes the Kenny Gainwell route from a draft capital standpoint. You know, like a guy that we like more. And Gainwell actually had like more going for him, right, from the size, because he hit over 200 pounds when he weighed in, right?
Yep.
I don't see a world where Deuce Vaughn comes in and if that man weighs over 200 pounds, holy hell. Like his BMI is going to look really good. We'll boost that up. He'll be a
bowling ball. Exactly. He will legitimately be the next MJD at that point.
Yes. Yeah. And then I could really talk myself into it. All right. Austin says,
the Elite Football Network, whatever this is, has Deuce Vaughn at a 4.4440.
He's fast.
And that's gonna be pretty fast, especially that size. Like, I mean, the BMI that is. I don't know. He will be an interesting one to follow. Let's just put it that way.
So Austin got to see Adam's tweet and post in the Discord where he acquired all 12. He got all the Infinity Stones. He has all 23 first-round picks in one of his leagues. Is it a bad idea to make all these picks instead of trading a few for either future picks or current NFL players? And was thinking JB could give good insight based on class hit rates, and could this lead you to guarantee a few busts theoretically? I will say this, knowing Adam Dynasty is a lot, and we've talked about this before. There is absolutely zero chance he makes all 12 of those picks. Yeah. And I will say there is a zero chance he makes even 10 of those picks. He might make 6. He might make half of them. But he will take the guys that he wants and then position himself where he's going to trade back into the second round and pick up a 24 first, or he's going to go get some young guy. If he's a Kenny Pickett fan and he feels like he can buy Kenny Pickett cheap and somebody's too high on Will Levis when they shouldn't be because the prospect isn't, the same, or whatever the case may be.
Just needs a quarterback.
If you have all 12 picks in the 23 first or in any class, if you make them all, you've done it wrong. You've absolutely done it wrong. I do
especially
this
a class like that. Especially a class like that with so much hype. Like, let's just say he's a 500 team this year. He probably could go flip some of those first for extreme value and turn into a playoff competitor,
for sure,
while still keeping half of those picks.
Yeah. Last year I had a team going into the league where I had 8 of 12, 2021 first round picks. Good class. I didn't hate the class at all. But the fact that rookie fever hit a high, I had the stranglehold on the draft and I could do what I want. I ended up making like 2 of those picks.
Yeah.
Right. And some of the trades I made didn't work out, but you can't operate from like a hindsight perspective. But I saw an opportunity. Like I ended up trading like the 107 for Saquon Barkley. Right. Now Javonte Williams went there, but that's a hindsight pick.
Yeah.
Like what if that was Travis Etienne? What if that was Travis Etienne? Well, Barkley didn't do great, but you know what I mean? Like you can't operate.
At the time you made the decision, it was a good one.
Operating on the current market value that I had at the time. But those are the kind of moves you can make where the rookie hype, and especially for this class, is going to reach a fever pitch. And like you said, mid-season, who knows what his roster is like? If he's sitting there and like suddenly he's a 500 team and maybe the guys at the top don't look so good, he'd be absolutely insane if he didn't try to leverage that into going for a championship if it was easily attainable. Like somebody's like, man, I want to get off Russell Wilson because I want to rebuild. Adam,
exactly.
I'll take a first, and like a third round pick. He'd be dumb not to make the move. And then you just keep snowballing it. Like, what else you got on your team? What else?
Exactly.
Let me go to this guy. What do you got? What do you got?
Some person who's, midway through the season, that's 7 games. Someone who's 2-5 is going to say, fuck it. My team sucks. Need to rebuild. 23 is supposed to be good. Try to make some moves and probably be desperate.
Yeah, for sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah, there's 2 very different thoughts on this. I would absolutely, like I said, Adam won't do it. I won't do it. And JB acknowledged that we wouldn't do it either. It is foolish to do it because you are, like you said in your first part of your question there, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a handful of busts because there's going to be
seriously. I mean that's a really good point. I just have the receivers popped up right now. So even round 1 receivers have about a 50% hit rate to be a top 24 receiver. So if you pick all the receivers that got drafted in the first round, half of them are going to be busts.
Yeah. This past year was kind of interesting because I don't think from a value standpoint, we didn't have any busts. I can't think of one.
You're speaking 21 or 22?
21.
Let me see.
We had some guys take some value hits, but nothing crazy. So like Trevor Lawrence was a first-round startup post-rookie draft, and now he's in the 3rd. Zach Wilson's about the same. Mac Jones has moved up. Devontae Smith, slight downgrade, but pretty much the same. Travis Etienne broke his foot, didn't play at all, and we just talked about it just last week. He actually fucking went up a round, which was wild. Javonte Williams clearly went up. Jamar Chase went up. Kyle Pitts went up. Fields and Lance have maintained their value. Najee went up.
Tony.
Waddle He wasn't really a first-round rookie pick, though. Tony was.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, in the NFL draft, but like rookie-wise, I don't think there's anybody taking him in the first round. He was more like a
no, and that was part of the reason that everyone kind of said the 22 class sucked, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, but we were spoiled with the 2020 class. We were spoiled with the 2021 class. We're going to be spoiled with 23 and 24, and relative to the other classes, 22 is bad. The class isn't bad. It's just normal. It's just because the ones surrounding it and the ones preceding it and the ones after it are very good. It looks like shit.
Yeah. Jalen Waddle clearly went up. He was a late first for.
Yeah.
He went up. Yeah, JB's in the building. Adam, that baby pop out
What's
yet?
up?
That baby pop out. 201 with Rondell. Yeah, the 201 with Rondell is where I lost my ass. Though thankfully, I argue with Adam about diversifying. Right, I don't ever actively think about diversifying, but I'm glad last year at some point I went, you know what? I don't have enough Bateman, or I don't have enough Elijah Moore. Let me get some of these guys, and it just kind of popped in my head. I wasn't trying to actively think about it, but if I had put all of my 201s into Rondell Moore, I'd be absolutely devastated.
And that's how you just alleviate risk. I mean, it's diversifying. It's the same thing you do with legitimate real life investments. Like we said, 50% hit rate for those guys, there's going to be busts. So if you put them all into one basket and they don't hit, cool. Then you're completely SOL. Hey, Adam, let's go.
Congratulations, brother.
That's awesome. Congrats.
So happy for you. She's here. What'd you name her? What's her name? We got to figure that out too.
It's got to be Michelle. Got to be named after you.
I don't think he wants that in his life. I would keep her and I as far separate as possible. As far separate as possible. All right. So Bradley finished the startup lane in 923 picks, 4 of them first. When selling other players this season, we better try to get more 23 or split it a little and get some 24s. If you're going the productive struggle route, obviously you probably want like 23s, but I will tell you this, 24s are going to be the value play, like where it's at. People are just going to put them in there. They already are. Yeah, they just put it down the road. I'd be going after the 24s.
I think the right answer is it depends, because if you can get 23 firsts at the same, let's just say, price as 24s, then yeah, get 23s, because come next February, March, April, you'll be able to flip into 24 first and more. But yeah, I mean, if they're holding on to 23 first for dear life and somewhat selling 24s at a discount, kind of like just take it, don't be afraid to load up on 24s. That class is already looking very good. And I mean, that's going to be something I talk about on a podcast, but 24 firsts are already looking extremely good.
Yeah, if I'm going the productive struggle route, like Swift's off this team easily.
Running backs don't.
Yeah, the running backs I'm not going to hold on to. The other guys, I can make a case for keeping DK for sure. Deontay, maybe Judy. Sutton's a guy I'd be looking to move like once him and Russ start cooking. Like that would be a guy. Swift, again, with those guys, you might just hold till further in season and you might get more. So
yeah, especially right now. I mean, I made a trade in a league that I'm not very proud of, and I think I jumped the gun because I was trying to beat another guy to selling off quarterbacks. But I know for a fact if I would have waited until week 3, week 4, just because I sold Pickett and Rodgers, I definitely could have got more in season. So I would definitely be patient with that and wait till some of those guys put up some type of big number game or whatever and sell them off then.
How much do I hate that I held my rookie draft for the NFL draft this year? Absolutely none. Absolutely. Adam and I talked about it right after. I mean, it sucks for this year, but I think back to the previous years and all the value I got, right? I'm getting Mac Jones in the second round. Ridiculous. I was getting Trey Lance at like 108, 109. You win some, you lose some. And even this year, like as much as like I took quarterbacks and kind of whiffed on some of them, I did get a fair number of Kenny Pickett. Too heavily invested in Matt Corral, so that's part sucked. But I look at like some of the other guys where it's like, man, I got some like TDP shares just randomly in the 5th round, just as a dart throw. It's not the greatest prospect, but I remember getting like Tyquan Thornton in the late 5th. Like now that actually is like, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Tyquan Thornton.
A little bit of a bump.
Yeah, a little bit. So you get a little bit here and there. Not the worst thing. And then like Kenneth Walker, like the de facto 102. I mean, you're getting him at the 108, like pre-draft pretty solidly. So not the worst thing.
Yeah, I only had one pre-NFL draft, rookie draft, and the guy at the 102 took Willis. So now he is trying to change the rule, but good luck with that, buddy. Yeah. I ended up getting Pickett at 202, so worked out for me. But no, I like Mike said, it's kind of just a product of this year.
Yeah, it's just a bad class.
Yeah, I mean, it was all over the place, so it is what it is.
It's kind of like trading, man. Like some of these trades you make in hindsight look absolutely horrible, but doing pre-NFL rookie drafts is kind of like trading, man. If you can hit 60, 70% and get it right and continue that every single year, you're doing good. You're going to make a profit because we're drafting guys right now after the NFL draft who may actually be bust, right? I mean, we can love Drake London or Treylon Burks or Garrett Wilson. Who's to say they're not going to bust? I mean, it's very possible that happens. So you just mentioned like the first round receivers with that draft capital, 50% across the board, like a hit rate for just being a top 24 guy.
Yeah, that's it. Like the threshold really isn't that high for a guy drafted in the first round. You're still only getting 50%. So you know what? There were 6 receivers this year. So just by averages, there's 3 that are going to bust. It could be our favorite guys, And
then Adam's going to impart the last piece of knowledge before we get out of here. He says get every single 23 first. He wants them all. He's still trying for more first in that league. Doesn't realize
that nobody
has.
Yeah,
same league. Yeah, same league. He's probably gonna advocate that I add 2 teams, like expansion teams.
Yeah, just so to get them.
Yeah, so you can have 14 out of 14. That's going to do it. We're going to bounce out of here an hour. JB, thank you so much for being on. Yeah. Adam, congratulations to you, brother. I'm so happy for you. Your first kid. You're a girl dad now. Congratulations.
Yeah, all 3 of us are now, huh?
Yeah, all the girls.
Nice.
I can't make boys to save my life.
I used it all. A personal problem.
I used it all in the beard. Like all the testosterone I had left in my body went into this sack of shit.
Sack of shit.
this gray salt and pepper.
Oh my gosh.
I appreciate you so much, JB, for hopping on. It's been a blast. Audience, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Great questions, great conversation. And like I said, make sure you're giving JB a follow on Twitter, man. This guy needs some more exposure. I learn something every time we come on. I always have a good time, and I learn a little bit more about numbers, and it makes me a little more dangerous. It's kind of like it's like letting a kid drive a car before he really knows how to drive the damn car, JB. That's what you're doing. You're letting me drive.
I should stop, is what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, you need that the driver's ed side, with the actual controls and the pedals.
Yeah, with my own brake pedal on the side. Yeah,
like,
the safety. Yeah.
Shit, Mike found the hit rate tables. Fuck, it's all over.
How do I block this from him?
That's gonna do it. We're gonna bounce out of here. Yes, Austin, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you, man. And
yeah, thank you guys.
All right, we're out of here. Good night. Peace.
Take it easy, guys.